Serving up takes on Mizzou, the pros, and everything in between. Want to join in? Call or text the show at 573-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome in to Tuesday's edition of The Big Show on your Total Sports Station, KTGR. Here, Andy Humphrey and Brendan Schaefer, where we just sit and wait whether LaNorris Sellers will actually play. But Eli Drinkwitz saying today, we anticipate LaNorris Sellers to play on Saturday. So I guess we'll see if he's right.
Yeah, I think whether he's right or not, that is the way that you have to approach it. And I actually think it's okay to have that expectation relative to a game that sticks in my memory, Texas A&M last year. I do think either quarterback kind of similar, but you have to prepare like the guy who came into the season as a Heisman candidate is going to play, and then you kind of go from there.
So we'll see how they do that, and we'll hear what Eli Drinkwitz had to say about the situation coming up here in just a bit. We'll talk other quarterback injuries. Gosh, so many in the NFL to try and keep up with. The injury expert, Will Carroll, joins us at 4:25 to go over those. Also, Xavier Worthy's situation with the update on that. We'll also talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly from week 2 of the NFL. And today, Brendan, we know that the playoff is not going to be decided upon, the field at least, for several months. But that will not stop us from putting together our field today of who we would put in after
the committee.
3 weeks. Yes, the committee. So we'll put our committee hats on and we'll put together the field and tell us where you think we're right or wrong at 5:25. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. You can also tweet us at KTGR Big Show and find us on Facebook at facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
During the press conference today, Eli Drinkwitz said that he anticipates LaNorris Sellers to be the quarterback for South Carolina on Saturday. Of course, Sellers was knocked out of his most recent game against Vanderbilt on a hit that was eventually called targeting in that game that South Carolina lost to the Commodores. Sellers did not return, of course. Nothing has really been said about what his injury is from Shane Beamer. It was interesting that Luke Doty went to the podium on South Carolina's side today and said that, well, the reps have been basically as normal. Nothing's really changed there. And so we'll wait to see. First availability reports of the season for really the Mizzou's purposes for their first SEC game coming up. That's on Wednesday night when that gets released, and then Thursday night, Friday night, then one more time Saturday. That's the Big Show's Big Deal on this 16th day of September 2025. You can call or text us here at 875-KTGR. It was very quick, just Eli Drinkwitz saying he expects LaNorris Sellers to play. With the first question out of the gate from his press conference this afternoon. Now, he was a little bit, somewhat asked to elaborate upon it by Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com, and it was more about the injury reports themselves, or the availability reports, as they are called. And Drinkwitz was asked about how he has handled them and how he thinks the league is handling them. And, well, here were his thoughts on all of that. And then eventually his read on the quarterback situation.
It's not really for us. It wasn't created for the coaches. It was created for transparency because of other industries that are tied to college football. And so I would say you'd have to ask those guys. Regarding the quarterback situation, Luke Doty's played a quarterback. Another guy that's played a lot of college football. We've played against him before. I remember recruiting Luke out of Myrtle Beach High School when I was at NC State. Really good player, but I don't think their scheme's going to change any. He's not LaNorris, but he's a very good and capable player. So, for us, there's not two stylistic differences in the way that quarterback position is going to be played. So for us, we're going to anticipate that LaNorris will play, and then we'll adjust if he does not.
Seems about right, because I think their read is correct that if Luke Doty's in there, I don't he's not as good of a quarterback as LaNorris Sellers. Obviously, the talent's not there, but the type of quarterback that both of those guys are is probably pretty similar, and they probably don't change the playbook all that much with Luke Doty in there versus LaNorris Sellers.
Yeah, I think you're preparing for a quarterback that can beat you with his legs, can beat you with his arm. A guy that has mobility, a guy that can do some different things and has that versatility. So regardless of which guy it is, stylistically, I think is the focus. They're not saying, we're going to focus on a plan for LaNorris Sellers, and then when it's not him, it's like the rug has been pulled. It won't be that way. That is what happened against Texas A&M last year. But you had Marcel Reed, that was more of that dual threat, and Connor Wegman, that was more of the pocket passer for the most part. And so it really was a different style of game plan that Texas A&M used with that little quarterback, Dosido. And I don't think that you're facing the same situation here unless there is an unnamed third South Carolina quarterback that comes out. It's Connor Shaw, and he's wearing a mustache.
No.
Like I don't really know otherwise what, the way that this goes sideways, as long as they are preparing for, the most difficult task they could face, and assuming that whether it's LaNorris or whether it's Luke Doty that's out there taking that first snap, that, you have to be ready for that guy to be pretty darn good.
Well, and it won't be a situation with Connor Shaw, because Connor Shaw, before that infamous game in 2013, he wasn't playing. Like he was the starter. He was hurt. They put in the backup, but then actually he can play. And then he comes back in.
They got desperate and said, well, you grit through whatever the injury is and go from there. If there's a third guy that I'm not aware of, that's more of a prototypical pocket passer that would be a different game plan, could kind of confuse the defense and get carved up by the passing game, maybe that would be something to pay attention to. But I would think at this point they would be aware of all the possibilities that South Carolina could throw at them. Well,
and if it's Luke Doty out there first snap, and LaNorris Sellers is not coming into the game at any point, because that probably means that he has not cleared concussion protocol. We think so. We don't know that it's a concussion. Right. It's still up in the air. That hasn't been cleared. To be, though. You would have to think that's the case. Maybe.
And if it wasn't, it's weird that he was not back into the game against Vanderbilt, right?
Well, but he could have been hurt enough to not finish that game, I suppose. And then if it's not a concussion, then maybe it's something else that he does have, maybe the clearance more so to grit through than a concussion where it's like cut and dry. Like, are you experiencing symptoms? No, you can't play. And that's the end all be all.
And it's really not even the symptoms. I think there's a process that he's got. We talked about yesterday, he's got to practice, he's got to do this, that, and the other. We're not really going to know what step he is in the process.
Right.
That's not going to be information that we have. I can tell you right now that availability report, I think it's the dumbest thing in the world, because we don't actually ever learn anything from it. And oftentimes I think it can be used to have it is one thing, but do you have to be truthful with it? You don't necessarily what's the oversight on, we think he's doubtful and then he plays. Brady Cook last year was listed as doubtful on the first Wednesday report for that game that he played in. We knew that the guy was going to play. You know what I mean? So I almost think that there's a little bit of wiggle room that Drink says it's for other industries, and he's right. It's for sports betting. That's the reason those exist, is to try to have that transparency so that they can, at least from a top-down view, the leagues or the whatever can say, see, we at least are trying to, have everything be on the up and up. But okay, I'm not aware of any discipline that happened to say a guy was doubtful and then, now he's not doubtful, he's playing. So you can play with it a little bit, is my read as a coaching staff when that comes out. And I do believe that multiple SEC coaches will and have used it in such a way to try and play even a modicum of gamesmanship. Last year, I think we saw that at times. So I don't really, when that comes out, we're going to talk about what LaNorris Sellers' status is on it.
Right.
But I don't know that it's going to dictate, unless it says he's out.
Well,
and they just know it by Wednesday. That would be newsworthy. Otherwise, we're not really going to know until a little bit later in the week.
What if it said doubtful, though? Would that tell you anything more?
No.
That would be the same as questionable and probable to you, most likely, you think?
Identical. Yes, sir. Identical, because I believe it can be used. Right. Now, when it comes to a head injury, I don't know if there's any legality or any sort of rule set that they have to follow in the classification of that that would differ from a standard injury, right? they could, is it possible that if there's a 7-step protocol and he's only on step 2 or 3, that they could call him doubtful Wednesday because it's an uphill climb to be able to clear everything else, but then magically he does it? Like, I don't know what the oversight is on that. So to read too much into it, as I know it right now, somebody can report differently and maybe get to the bottom of it. We can get a better understanding. But when it comes to concussion, it's always, we always do this, Andy, where we kind of look and go, I don't know. We don't really know. You have the protocol, but you can't treat it as a grit through it type of injury, like you said. No. So therefore, no, I am going to be braced for the potential of gamesmanship involved in that until I see that it's not, right? Until I see that there's another explanation for what we see. I'm going to kind of take it with even less than a grain of salt. And look, Drink says he anticipates he'll play. Andy, I'm asking you, do you think Drink anticipates he'll play, or is that simply the way you have to approach it as the head coach of the opposing team?
Yeah, you have to approach it that way. You can't say that you definitely can't say we're expecting the backup to play.
Correct.
The bottom line is you have an anticipate. People are going to think you have a leaning one way or the other. And if you're going to reveal that one way or the other, then you have to lean towards the starter. I think regardless of what the injury might be.
Regardless of what you think.
Regardless of what you think or whatever the extent
you
is.
Lie.
You just, yeah, exactly.
You lie. You obfuscate. Well,
you tell them what
that's the guy.
Right. And look, maybe you tell that to your team also. Like you say, look, LaNorris Sellers, if he is coming out that door, then that is the biggest test to us. So we have to prepare for the biggest test no matter what, regardless of what we know or don't know, or what insiders are telling us about the situation over there, things like that, whatever they can find out. But yeah, it's still a situation where you cannot show your hand at all about what you really think about the situation, because then you will have some movement on point spreads one way or the other. You will have some,
I don't know about that.
Some things about South Carolina pumping themselves up and saying, okay, now all of a sudden you think that way. You don't want that smoke. That's the thing.
He gave boilerplate, right? He gave just the canned answer that you're supposed to give in this situation, which was correct to do. He didn't give us any insight on what he actually believes, right? I don't know whether Drink is in his heart of hearts believing that Sellers, because he's not a doctor and he's not LaNorris Sellers' doctor and he's not the team doctor that can clear him, right? So we all assume it's concussion related and that's what he's dealing with. You're just going to say, yeah, sometimes guys make it through that in a week and they get cleared. So that's the way that we have to approach it. I don't know if that's any insight to what Drink is thinking. What Drink is thinking doesn't really matter. I believe he's preparing his team as though it will be Sellers, and that's just the way that you have to do it. But you mentioned point spreads, Andy. I don't think Drink could have said anything differently that would have moved point spreads. Shane Beamer could have. But what Shane Beamer said today was simply, we've got a Wednesday availability report. Like that's all I really saw in reference to the Sellers question. And so there's nothing that you can glean from that. So if Beamer said nothing and Drink said, I don't know, we figure he's playing, that's how we're preparing, then that doesn't, like I said, boilerplate. It's not much. But you know what it did do, or something else behind the scenes, move the line, because it has come down. Not a ton, but it was 13.5 yesterday. It's 11.5 or 12.
Oh, there was going to be some sort of correction. Yeah, I thought that was a little too over
I
the
said
top.
It, man. It was never getting farther than 13.5, and they could announce tonight that Sellers is out, and it will not go past 13.5. That's a huge number regardless, and we know that these guys are talented. We know that the backups, with a week to prepare, can make a game competitive. I think Missouri will win the football game, but I'm just making note of that the line has moved a little bit back. And so relative to yesterday's conversation where we said, holy crap, it's almost 2 touchdowns. Yeah, it might still be a double-digit number by the time it's all said and done, regardless of who's starting for South Carolina. But it has come down a little bit. I don't know that it was Drink that moved it because, like I said, I think the sports betting market is smarter than me to know that was just canned boilerplate. What he has to say as the opposing coach.
But I'm saying that there's there could have been something else that he would have said if he had said, oh, yeah, we think LaNorris is out, then maybe something else. But I don't know relative to, because how would he know relative to South Carolina's side of things? I don't think it would move sports betting markets. I think it would move South Carolina to go, you hear what that guy said? Right. We're going to use it again. You know what I mean? That could have
change the potential motivation on the other side, or the what's the word, the bulletin board stuff. But I just don't know that. It's interesting to me that the other coach says, yeah, we anticipate he'll play, and people, is that really what moved the market? I have no idea, but it's just interesting to note.
875-KTGR, call or text us your read on the South Carolina LaNorris Sellers situation. If Sellers is in there, here's what Eli Drinkwitz hones in on when it comes to his game.
He's listed as preseason all SEC first team quarterback for a reason. That would tell us all he's a cut above. He's got a unique build and frame. He's really strong, hard to tackle in the pocket, hard to wrap up, makes incredible decisions and plays when the play is broken down. So, I think that's always a challenge, especially when you're playing defense. If you're in man and he breaks the pocket, then he's going to take off and run. If you're playing zone, it's hard to keep a zone cover when your focal point is moved. So how does that zone move with it? So it's an extremely difficult challenge. He is an elite player.
So here's the thing. I think all that's right. Like you have a tough test to deal with when he is the quarterback on the other side. His skill set makes him tough to tackle, makes him hard to game plan for, not even just for an entire game, but also just play by play with how you're trying to script a drive against him and get him off the field. In normal circumstances, that's right. I don't know if in this circumstance, even if LaNorris Sellers plays, that's the type of thing you get. And it's not even a LaNorris Sellers conversation. I'm not even saying that he would be, 80%, and that's what affects him if he's out there. No, I'm saying the fact that South Carolina's offense in general has just not been what we expected it to be. And most of that's because they have not been able to run the football. So if you're not running the ball and you're not giving defenses another thing to worry about other than, is the quarterback going to escape the pocket or not? Is he going to be able to hit us over the top? Like, look, they've become a one-dimensional team so far. They're last in the SEC in rushing so far through 3 games. I know it's only 3 games. It's a small sample size, but everyone's played cupcakes so far, and everyone else has done better against those games than South Carolina has. And so I wonder about even how effective either quarterback would be in this situation if South Carolina can't run the ball. I don't have, Brendan, very many concerns about how this game could go when South Carolina holds it. We can talk more about it this week. I am a little more concerned about what could happen when Missouri has the ball in their situations. But in the other case, I actually think this is very much advantage Missouri defense, no matter who the quarterback is.
When you say the other side of it, there could be concerns. What are you referencing there, though? Because I don't disagree with Missouri's defense having the ability to contain a South Carolina offense that, regardless of who's been behind center, has largely been contained.
Right.
But flip that script for me and explain a little bit more what you mean.
With Missouri having the ball, why I'm concerned there?
Because I would be concerned if I'm South Carolina, I'm concerned when Missouri has the ball because their offense has been elite.
Sure.
But what's your take on that?
Well, they've got Dylan Stewart, and we still the offensive line, I agree, has gotten better each and every week, but there are still some moments that they have to account for and answer for on tape and eventually game by game here. And that's one of the best defensive ends in the country. And it's not just him that they've got. Like, that defense can disrupt you. And so this is the biggest test so far, I believe, from what Mizzou has had. Kansas was a pretty good one. They've got some good defensive linemen too that Mizzou was able to mostly handle. But I think this is a step up. And look, they've been able to operate for the most part. Bo Priola has had time to throw in most situations. They ran the football excellently this past weekend. I still need to see, again, as we step up more in competition, I need to see that offensive line also step up and meet that challenge. And this will be the one that could cause them the most problems to this point.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid to let this be a week where, maybe the tight ends aren't catching the ball as much, but they're helping out and getting an extra body, getting the running backs, getting an extra
hot routes,
body on that side of the pass rush because, yeah, Dylan Stewart can wreck your game. And I think that Missouri's offensive coaching staff is aware of that, and I think they will impress that upon the line. But I also don't think it's necessarily just going to be up to one guy. It's going to be up to that entire unit, and then the other players too. And I think Kirby's going to be ready for it too, to conveniently sort of say, all right, situationally, you're blocking if you get this look. You need to help out in this regard. But Bo Prabula has done a nice job of getting the ball out quick. So I don't think that's something that's going to change. I think they're going to continue to look to work that short to intermediate passing game in order to mitigate some of the effects of what a really good pass rush can bring. But you're spot on. It is going to be their biggest test in that regard against the best defensive line, that they've seen.
Because I've seen Mizzou's defensive line do quite well in all three of their games to this point, particularly Damon Wilson. And look, South Carolina's whole line at the moment has not been up to the task. And if they're able to run stop the way that they were, like Mizzou held a Power 4 opponent to 3 rushing yards in a game this season, I don't think they'll do that against South Carolina. But if they hold them to 50, like, that's job well done for me. Like, I think I don't worry too much about what South Carolina's offense can do if that's the number that they're putting up rushing wise. And then on the offensive side, like, yeah, the points have been coming in strong. They will be harder to come by this week. But I still anticipate that, yeah, as you mentioned, Bo Prabula has had, for the most part, good recognition on where his hot routes are and how he's been able to get it out to some of those guys. There were maybe a few miscues here and there this past weekend, although and Drinkwitz did talk about it at length in the press conference today about some of those breakdowns and how Prabula handled them. Still something that he needed to work on, ultimately was kind of the takeaway from it. But one of those plays did result in a touchdown. He's able to muscle it out to Jamal Roberts for it. What usually against an SEC opponent is probably about, optimistically a 5-10 yard gain, but against Louisiana was a touchdown. So, I mean, all's well that ends well on that. So, but that is definitely something that they're looking at this week because, again, you have to get the ball out quick against this South Carolina front. And since they had a few iffy moments in that realm against Louisiana, yeah, I will be looking at that and seeing how quickly they're getting the ball out with Bo Prabula. Or, look, if he has time to throw, are they trying deep shots? Are they trying to hit home run plays? Who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of that. And I do think that you'll mix in the deep shots and the home run shots if you can effectively neutralize the pass rush through, I'm not going to say dink and dunk, but like the responsible type of passing offense that they have run largely this season that has been so successful. I think they'll have to prove to be able to chunk down the field against South Carolina before then you can potentially, force them to make an adjustment defensively and open things up as the game goes along. But I'm going to be really curious for how that opening script looks like for Kirby Moore to be able to, again, try to neutralize what Dylan Stewart can bring.
And look, that opening script has been good. First 3 games, they have scored a touchdown on each of their first 3 opening drives, which I believe they only did twice last year. So that's impressive to this point. We'll see if they keep that streak going. Call or text us here, 875-KTGR. Your thoughts on Mizzou, South Carolina, as we get ready for that here soon. The Yingling Tiger Game Day show on Saturday will begin at 3 o'clock. That'll kick off our coverage before kickoff at 6 p.m. between Mizzou and South Carolina on Saturday. Well, we asked the injury expert Will Carroll his read on the LaNorris Sellers situation, as uncertain as it is. We don't know a whole lot of info, but Will gives his take next on all of that, as well as the many quarterback issues or quarterback injuries, to be clear, on the NFL side from this past weekend. The injury expert Will Carroll joins us next on The Big Show.
This the latest edition of The Big Show. Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now, wherever you get your apps.
It's time to leave those regular malt beverages in the doghouse and adopt Lucky One Lemonade. Made with real vodka and real juice, Lucky One is a premium alcoholic beverage with no artificial flavors, no bubbles, and is only 100 calories. With 4 flavors, blueberry, peach, raspberry, and regular, and money from each pack sold goes to help rescue dogs find their forever home. Come taste Lucky One Lemonade at this year's Zimmer Tiger Tailgate. From backyard hangs to tailgate sips, Lucky One Lemonade is the upgrade that your cooler deserves.
Hey y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. Tailgating's going to be hard this year. So if you need an easier tailgating plan, y'all, come on into Billiards. You don't have to pack anything. You can leave the cooking to us. We're climate controlled, and our burgers and fries are always a winner. Plus, our TVs are bigger than anything you're going to bring to a tailgate.
Boogie on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
Even downtown parking is easier than tailgate parking.
Everyone has their go-to game day outfit. Maybe it's a comfy black and gold hoodie or that old hat you wear because it still hasn't been to a losing game. Hi, this is Sophie Cunningham, and if you really want to stand out on game day, talk to the team at Betch Jewelers in downtown Columbia. Rock your favorite team's colors with a beautifully designed, one-of-a-kind custom piece of jewelry from Betch Jewelers in downtown Columbia, our hometown jeweler. MIZBETZ.
These beautiful moments begin at Betts. Begin at Betts.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-274-5104 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-274-5104. That's 800-274-5104. What do you have to lose? Call 800-274-5104. Again, 800-274-5104.
Gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Sweetie, the backyard's that way.
Oh, yeah. Just figured I'd use the toilet.
It's not normal for your man to pee indoors. He could be suffering from low D, low deck. A low deck just isn't as fun to pee off.
Maybe I'll try sitting down.
Or no D, no deck at all. But there's help. With Crutch's Custom Exteriors, a sky-high pee platform is all he needs to be and pee like a man again. Crutch's Custom Exteriors, true beauty is on the outside.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at apiprojectfitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
We're back here on The Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy and Brendan here. Well, the catch-up's starting to happen in the NFL when it comes to injuries, certainly hitting the quarterback rooms of several teams pretty hard over the last week. And here to talk all things injuries with us is the injury expert, Will Carroll. You can find him on Twitter at Injury Expert. Subscribe to his newsletter as well, undertheknife.substack.com, to read great insight on Major League Baseball injuries all season long and beyond that as well. But, Will, let's start with football because there's a lot to get to. First off, Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs. We now know that it's a torn labrum that he suffered in that first game. He obviously didn't play this last weekend, but it seems that the Chiefs seem optimistic that, he can play with the brace and potentially be back this week. How do you read that, though, with the injury that we now know about him?
Yeah, I don't think the labrum really changes anything. We know that dislocations, there's always going to be some soft tissue damage. The question is it much? Did it come right back in? Did it trap anything? Did it slam back in, which is usually where the labrum gets problematic? You don't normally see it torn on the out part because that's kind of what's holding it in. So if it comes right back in the way that it did, then usually the labrum's kind of intact, but it's that slam back in that's the tougher part. So I don't think this really changes much. Is he going to be able to play with the brace? Is he going to be able to adjust to that? Is he going to be able to extend his arms? That's really the thing that is going to come down to. People talk about pain tolerance. People talk about, is he going to be able to take a hit? Well, he's going to. It doesn't have to feel good. I don't think it ever does. But it's really, is he functional? And that's the one. Is it going to be this week? Is it going to be next week? Is it going to be the one the week after? With the brace, I think the shoulder will be, tolerable. We'll see whether or not he's functional.
And then, Will, it's all the quarterbacks that we have to talk about. And I guess we'll start by highlighting Joe Burrow. I suppose he looked at Brock Purdy's turf toe and said, I'll show you turf toe. This one seems pretty serious, surgical intervention required. What's your status and your take on the Joe Burrow situation in Cincinnati?
This one really isn't even turf toe. This goes well beyond it. It's an injury we just don't see in football. But I actually talked to a surgeon, Bill Rosh, who has been the longtime surgeon for not only the Milwaukee Brewers, but he's been the surgeon for the Milwaukee Ballet. And that's where we normally see this injury. It's actually there called point toe. It happens when those ballerinas and ballet dancers, I don't know what you call it, male guy, are up on point, and it just gives, and they go down too much. It's not only the ligament of the great toe that snaps, there's a plate that it holds to under it, and there could be more damage inside that. You get what's called hallux rigidus, which basically means the toe can't move. And you can tell that's bad for things like walking and running and trying to throw a football. So they're going to have to put this thing back together. But in the long term, he's going to have a lot of problems with this. Is he going to be able to play with it? Not this year. This year's done. They're going to have to go with Jake Browning and whoever else they can find. So this one is a devastating injury, potentially career altering. And we don't have too many of those.
Man, that's something to watch for, especially when he attempts to come back at any point when they try to get him back. The injury expert, Will Carroll, here on the big show, KTGR. And let's just keep going on down the list, Will. Jaden Daniels, the day-to-day this week, it seems, with the knee injury he's dealing with. Of course, he's had a few more days to try to recover from it. They've played on Thursday night last week, but how do you see it developing this week, Will?
Yeah, with Daniels and the knee, obviously he's a guy who's not I wouldn't say he's a run-first quarterback, so we just don't have many of those. It's one of those where with this knee, is he going to be able to move enough? Is he going to be able to move around? So I don't think this is going to be something that's super problematic. I do think this is where you worry about structural issues. And you always hear, no structural damage. Well, this one is. So if it's ligament, that's fine. You can play with it if it's very minor. We've seen that. Meniscus gets a little more complicated, as we've seen with Mason Wynn, who we'll talk about in a bit. But meniscus can be problematic. Can you go in there and pull it and get him back in a couple of weeks? Does it have to be repaired, which would be essentially a season-ending injury for him? I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to see how he recovers, how they can get him going with the extra time. Is he going to need a week off? Quite possibly. I think we'll know pretty much by Thursday with his practice reports. Is he going to be out there? Is he going to be able to move? Is he going to be able to throw? All those things that a quarterback has to do. I think we'll get a very early indication on him.
And then we'll ping pong right to J.J. McCarthy. Will, didn't necessarily impress in his last game, but dealing with an injury as well. What's the status and the potential length of time that he could be out for Minnesota?
Yeah, again, McCarthy, they kind of built everything around him, let Darnold go, and here he is, up and down. He's certainly a player that has the talent, but an ankle sprain, same sort of thing with Daniels, a little lower on the leg, obviously, but is he going to be able to move and have a stable base to throw from? And if not, you've got to make the shift down. That's why you have backup quarterbacks. So this is an open question about him. I mean, obviously last year he missed the entire year from an injury. Is he just not going to be a guy who can hold up under the workload? And he 2 games and you get an ankle sprain, that can happen. But last year's was in camp. So there are some questions about how well he's going to hold up.
Will Carroll, the injury expert here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. And then one of the other big ones that's kind of popped up this week was Justin Fields, now in concussion protocol. And so we'll see how that develops for his process as he tries to get ready for this next weekend. But how do you see him, and especially with he looked so good in week 1. Now he's trying to get back out there because that seems to be a wrinkle the Jets offense can really use.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting. We've seen these kind of, I don't want to say second chance. I guess he's on his 3rd team, so I don't know how many chances that is. Fields has always been talented, but is it a fit issue? Is it just that he wasn't in the right situation? That seems to happen sometimes. You get the right guy and the right fit with the right offense and the right people around him, and good things happen. We saw that with Darnold last year. We're seeing that with Daniel Jones here in Indianapolis. So with Fields, yeah, he's still talented. There's never been a question about that. But was this going to be the right fit for him? Can the Jets be the right fit for anybody? That's a bigger question, I think. But concussions, again, you can come back from them in a week if you have no symptoms on Wednesday, and then progress through. So we should get a really early indication about whether they'll have to go to the backup. And honestly, I don't even know who the Jets backup is. Oh, it's Tyrod Taylor, the infinite backup. He's always seemed to be there.
Tyrod Taylor, and then maybe Mizzou's Brady Cook if it gets any further than that. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But when it comes to the concussion conversation, that's actually relevant this week locally, Will, as Mizzou takes on South Carolina this coming Saturday. LaNorris Sellers, the quarterback for South Carolina, last week against Vanderbilt, left the game with a targeting hit, and so we can assume maybe he's dealing with something similar. Is it different at the collegiate level? What will it take to get Sellers back into action within about a week's time?
The SEC has its own rules, and they certainly do things their own way. So we'll see. You do have to go through certain protocols. There are NCAA protocols that are different. They have been updated. But there's also a question about whether you have to follow them. For Sellers, that hit came under his helmet on the chin. There's been a lot of focus on this. I mean, obviously there's a targeting penalty. Nobody understands that. This was just a nasty hit, and I think we want to take those away. But we've seen changes in helmets. We've seen Schutt, which is partially owned by the NFL itself, come out with some new. They look bigger, but really aren't when you get up close to them. We've seen helmets that have more kind of deformable gaps. We've seen the ones that Riddell has had in the front. Now they've got some on the sides and in the back that give more collapsible space. But the chin is still very exposed. So for Sellers, again, he'll have to get through the steps. He'll have to be symptom-free, or if you can't think, you can't be a quarterback, let alone all the issues that other quarterbacks have with their lower legs.
Will Carroll, the injury expert here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. So certainly looking at all of those football situations and how it could affect this weekend. On the baseball side, Will, with the regular season winding down for the Cardinals, they deemed it appropriate, and Mason Wynn deemed it appropriate to just go ahead and shut down for the remaining parts of the regular season here with 2 weeks left. Been trying to play through that torn meniscus, and he at least told one reporter that he had been playing on that a lot longer than maybe we even expected. But how do you kind of see Mason Wynn's situation now, and how hard it must have been for him now that we know that he was playing on that for about 3 months, how that knee was feeling at that time?
Yeah, they got him to a point where he could play, and we didn't notice. So we have to think, this was just a management issue. But, we get to the end of the season, and context is everything. What are you playing for? Why do you really want to push through it? There are situations like, I know the Angels want to get Zach Neto back because they want him to get to a 5-win season. I was like, who cares? It was the first time I'd ever heard a source talk about like sabermetric stats as the justification for rushing someone back. For Wynn, it doesn't matter here. Let's get him healthy for next season. I was curious whether this meant they would go for a repair, which has a longer period of time, but it sounds like they're just going to do a small meniscectomy because he previously had one going back to high school. So there is a history here. He has played with, a little less than intact meniscus, which is not unusual. So I don't think it was that big a deal. I didn't see where it affected his game. It wasn't like I said, look, he's much slower. We've got StatCast. We can tell he wasn't. I didn't feel he had less range. So I think this actually, anything he did this season, give him a little credit for playing through a little bit of discomfort, but give a lot of credit to the medical staff that kept him healthy this long, that allowed us to say, oh, you know what, 2 weeks left.
Will, what's new and under the knife?
Everything. We got so many injuries. We got so many close races. We got Jordan Alvarez, who might have just decided the AL West with the fact that he couldn't get across home plate. And I'm going to talk about wicked googlies tomorrow.
All great stuff. Go and find out more about Major League Baseball injuries and insights with the injury expert Will Carroll at undertheknife.substack.com. Great to have him here on the big show, KTGR. Will, thanks for coming on. Hope you're well. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, boys.
Big show's on at 4:42, KTGR and the KTGR app. Yeah, great news on Jordan Alvarez. Love that. Love it.
You're really going through it as a Houston fan right now, too.
But again,
I mean, we kind of talked about it yesterday of what could happen based on the omen from the Humphrey household. And sure enough, CJ
not
Stroud
one
did
but
the same
two
thing.
poops on the clothes, and then the Texans.
I think Stroud, you might have had 3. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Very well could. I mean, I just saw the update from Bob Nightingale. We talked with Will obviously earlier in the day, but we get updates as we go. Yeah, Bob Nightingale says Jordan Alvarez out for the rest of the regular season, maybe the playoffs, but
that's nice. It's always good.
Playoffs will last, couple days, if that.
Oh, please. Here we go again.
Again, I'm not harder on him than my kids are. That's for sure. I'm not. Can never be. Oh, man. Big show's on at 4:43, KTGR and the KTGR app. Under the bus coming up, I will be hard on this Tom Brady situation. This is just.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Come on. It's not even trying to hide it. We'll get to that.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Eli Drinkwitz said at his press conference today that he anticipates that LaNorris Sellers will be the quarterback on the other side as the Tigers take on South Carolina. Sellers was knocked out of the most recent South Carolina game against Vanderbilt in the second quarter after a hit to the head that was eventually called for targeting. He did not return to the game. Still uncertain as to what the injury is for Sellers and his status this week from the South Carolina camp. But the Tigers saying that they expect him to be the quarterback. And if that changes, then they'll adjust. Tigers take on South Carolina at 6 o'clock on Saturday. It is officially a sellout. They announced that this morning, the 16th consecutive sellout at Memorial Stadium dating back to 2023. And Ahmad Hardy, Mizzou running back, was breaking in the accolades this morning. Toke Walker Player of the Week and the Walter Camp Offensive Player of the Week. Both of those announced today. He had 250 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns against Louisiana last Saturday. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Steve's Pest Control. They've been solving pest problems and protecting your property all over central Missouri for over 37 years. Let Steve and his team of experts be your friend in the pest control business.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking partly cloudy skies tonight with the temperature around 65. We'll see a chance for a few showers and storms west of Highway 63 tomorrow afternoon. We'll see a high around 92. As we get into Thursday, we'll track a better chance for some showers and a few storms with highs in the upper 80s. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Did you miss the Mizzou Play of the Week?
In motion comes Coleman to the left side, handed right to the boundary. Hardy second level, gets to the 40, now right side to the 50-yard line. To the 40, breaks the tackle, he's going to go. Ahmad Hardy to the 15, to the 10, to the 5, and to the house. Touchdown, Missouri. 71-yard run by Ahmad Hardy, his second touchdown of the day.
The Mizzou Play of the Week is powered by Yingling. Your home for Mizzou football is KTGR.
Another weekend of football in the books after the Monday night doubleheader. But, Andy, it's never too early to start looking ahead to next weekend on Underdog Fantasy.
Yeah, Brendan, especially with the Thursday night game coming up, Bills and Dolphins. And, man, James Cook has been off to a very good start this year, going up against that really pedestrian, if you ask me, Dolphins defense. He's going higher than 67.5 rush yards on Thursday night in that game. But you know what, Brendan? I can't even wait that long. So I've got to put together picks for leading up to that with my entry as well. So I'm going WNBA playoffs also. Asia Wilson, higher than 25.5 points tonight as the Aces take on Seattle.
See, that's the beauty of Underdog. You can have a football pick or two and combine it with plenty of other sports as well to form your entry. And if you get your entries right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash, and you can play with as little as $1. So download the app today and sign up with promo code KTGR to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code KTGR. Millions of fans have already won billions making plays on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Drove your new Defender on 63. Got in a fender bender with an SUV. No need to shout. Don't go crazy. Just get your phone out. Call FPP. They do all the work with your insurance company. 1, call the number. 2, take it in. 3, get your car back like new again. Take from me, they make it hassle-free. You can't go wrong with the easy 3. Just a 1, 2, 3 with FPP.
FPPBodyShop.com. My name is Scott Concannon, and I've been a client of Phyllis Nichols for the past 5 years. We currently have policies with 2 automobiles, homeowners, and life insurance for my fiance. I think Phyllis is one of the few agents I've ever run into, even just my experience with other agents throughout Columbia. She will go above and beyond to not only help you out in your time of need, even if the smallest things happen, she will be there to help you out. Phyllis Nichols, she will go to bat for you. I think there's a reason why they call it the 12-round agent.
Columbia just got armed. Minutemen Defense is your new destination for guns, ammo, and tactical gear that means business. From holsters and body armor to night vision and magazines, if you need it, they've got it. Plus, the cheapest ammo in town, guaranteed. Located right off I-70 and Rangeline for fast, easy access. Locally owned, veteran approved, built for serious shooters. Minutemen Defense. Get there. Visit MinutemenDefenseLLC.com.
Shangri-La is proud to be a part of every black and gold home game this season at the Zimmer Tiger Tailgate. Swing by our tent to play games, win prizes, and hang out with Missouri's top team of cannabis aficionados. Want to join the fun? Pick up your free Tiger Tailgate tickets at any Shangri-La location. Then come find us on game day. We'll be bringing the energy, the prizes, and the community spirit that makes Tiger football unforgettable. Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
Always ahead of the curve? Seem to know what's going to happen? Like a prophet? Prove it, Nostradamus, with Profit Shares. Predict the outcome of every black and gold game or whoever your favorite team is. It's all at Profit Shares, and it doesn't cost a thing to play. Make your predictions risk-free and win prizes like gift cards to Amazon, Chick-fil-A, and other favorites. Or donate your winnings to charities. Contests are open now. Play for free at ProfitShares.com. PROPHET shares.com.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
Look, the NFL has rules, but there are certain people that can get around those rules, and boy, is Tom Brady certain people.
He sure is.
Seriously. First of all, wild that ESPN feels the freedom to just go ahead and show it, but I guess they're just doing their job. But I don't know how the NFL feels about that with this new merger they're about to broker. Like, that's something.
Yeah, but you know what? This is happening, and ESPN, Tom Brady doesn't work there. Tom Brady works for a competitor, technically on the TV side.
Yeah.
So
I
ESPN,
guess.
You don't think there's a small part of that ESPN's like, hey, look what's going on here in the Raiders coaching box.
Well,
That's
but
interesting.
ESPN and Fox are also kind of tied to the hip too. They've got their own business dealings that are kind of merged, and everyone is kissing the ring of the NFL. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so, like, Tom Brady works for the NFL more so than I think anything else, or the NFL in a way works for him because he's a minority owner. But
figure that out. Yeah.
But he somehow is able to be up in the coach's booth, have a headset on. And look, they didn't show him saying anything into the microphone, but the microphone was right there ready for him to say something and be heard by someone during the game.
Yeah.
Like, we can call a spade here. Like, that's pretty blatant.
Couple of things. One, if his name's not Tom Brady, he doesn't get away with that. Nobody else would get away with
Absolutely.
it to Tom Brady. He's the only one.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing, though. It's not like he could have talked into that microphone all he wants for all I care. That's not the part of this that I find problematic. The part that is problematic is when he goes to do his broadcaster job and then can bring stuff back. Next week, he's calling the Bears game. The following week, the Bears play the Raiders. He's coaching the Raiders. He gets to talk to Bears. If I'm Ben Johnson, I'm like, no, thanks. No pregame prep with you, Tom Brady. We don't need it because it could be innocuous stuff that they're giving away, or it could be something more revealing with those.
Oh, but here's the thing. Those coaches are not going to give anything revealing now. And it's going to, and look, it's going to probably make Tom Brady worse at the broadcaster job because he's not actually learning the real stuff about what those teams are. And so that's also going to play into this.
He's just going to speculate. He's just going to speculate and wing it because he's pretty knowledgeable about the sport and could probably get away with that from a broadcaster perspective. It's just unfortunate. Like, you and I are both in this broadcasting industry, Andy, and it's like Tom Brady, of course, has the chops and the knowledge and the background to be great as a broadcaster, but he's choosing to be an NFL owner and coach and GM instead. You cannot let him do both. It's the broadcaster job that has to go, and I can't believe it because the NFL has been, they'll go out of their way to help Tom Brady out over the course of history. They'll look the other way when they need to, and that's what they're doing here. I think it's hilarious, though. The NFL comes out and says, Tom Brady didn't violate any rules. No, he didn't violate any rules. That's the problem.
Because you changed the rules for him. That's what you did.
They're your rules. Make new ones.
Come on.
We didn't,
that's just...
It's a PR masterclass for the NFL to release a statement that says he didn't violate any rules. That's our point. That's why we're irritated. Make some new rules.
Brutal. Also, under the bus to Sean McVay. I don't know if I saw the actual moment when he got hurt, but apparently he got hurt on the sideline. And it's a torn plantar fascia. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I forgot to ask the injury expert, Will Carroll, about this. It's gotten so bad in the NFL, we're putting the head coaches on injury reports now. And he said on a podcast, like, it's good, though. I'll have an MRI and everything like that. But, I might have a bit of a limp on the sideline going forward. And it's like, gosh, what's going on in the NFL? Everybody's getting hurt.
He's getting into it.
I don't know.
I mean, he's really into it on the sideline if that's happening during the game.
That is something he maybe needs to watch now, right? I mean, he is a young guy, younger on the younger side of head coaches, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
But, hey, got to watch out for the health. And honestly, it's just a troubling omen when head coaches start to get that. Well, some pretty sweet things happening for Mizzou football, of course. Sold out South Carolina game. It's kind of a little bit odd that it hadn't been sold out before this week, but hey, it doesn't matter when. It's the fact that it is. And so they sold it out. That's the 16th consecutive sellout for Mizzou football dating back to 2023. So that's not too shabby. And also Ahmad Hardy today gets the Walter Camp National Offensive Player of the Week award. He also gets the Doak Walker Player of the Week award. Goes out to the best running back performance. Pretty solid choice, I'd have to say. 250 yards rushing. That sounds about right for one Ahmad Hardy. And you're going to hear him on Tiger Talk tonight at 7:00 right here on KTGR. So that should be fun.
Yeah, that is pretty cool to be able to hear from him and breakout Heisman campaign, I would say, as I am all in on that.
Whoa. Yeah.
I'm all aboard, baby. Why not? One of them's got to win it, Bo or Hardy. I don't care which one wins it, but let's get some accolades. Let's get some respect, some attention for what this offense has been doing. And obviously, you haven't played an SEC game yet, but you can only play your schedule. And so far, I mean, both those guys have looked fantastic.
I would say that I would give Hardy an edge.
Do you think? The odds makers don't yet, but I will say that at one unnamed sportsbook, the odds were like 20 plus 25,000. I think at one point on Saturday, like mid-game as Hardy was doing his thing. It's like 250 to 1. The next day it was 70 to 1 plus 7,000. Like it had a significant drop where they go, oh, wait a minute, we might be a little bit overexposed on Ahmad Hardy if we don't adjust these odds. He'll put us out of business by winning the Heisman if anybody bet on that. So somebody did.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's going to face some teams here very soon that I think you can run against, even Alabama.
I agree with you, actually. In
that category.
They're not going to give up the run just because they're playing SEC games. They're going to continue to ride the horsemen, as it were. I mean, they're going to be ready for Ahmad Hardy to have a big...
pun intended.
No,
rides horses like the best of them.
I did intend that pun. I'll always admit it when I intended the pun, and that time I did.
875-KTGR. You can call or text us here. All right, up next, we will give our good and bad and ugly from NFL Week 2. I mean, the injuries certainly on the ugly side, but what else was ugly and bad and good from this past weekend of NFL football? You can text us yours at 875-KTGR. You can also comment on the YouTube channel. We're live right now at KTGR Sports. So go and join that too. And Brendan and I will put together the CFP bracket. If it started tomorrow, who would be the 12 teams? We'll get to that next on The Big Show.
Hello there. This is Quentin with JQ's On High in Jefferson City. We are looking for skilled and passionate hospitality team members who can bring both front-of-house charm and back-of-house know-how to our unique food service operation. We offer competitive pay plus tips, a fun work environment, and we welcome your creative input on our made-from-scratch menu. If you are dependable, love great food and great people, apply in person today at JQ's On High and be a part of something special here in Central Missouri.
This is Kim with Hearing Aid Consultants. For some, the thought of wearing a hearing device makes them feel old. In reality, improved hearing helps prevent accelerated aging. Untreated hearing loss not only can decrease your lifespan, but it can also lead to a faster decline in cognitive abilities and increase the likelihood of dementia. Come see us at Hearing Aid Consultants for your free hearing evaluation today. Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab in Jefferson City. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
You've already met a few members of the Family Pawn family. Now it's time to meet the newest one. Family Pawn's South Columbia location is just off South Providence. And just like every family pawn, it's got a personality all its own. Different jewelry, different tools, different gadgets and gear. That's the beauty of the family. No two stores are exactly alike. So after you stop by your favorite, swing by South Columbia. It's your newest Family Pawn store to explore.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
At Lee's Tire Company, they're family, not just because they spend a lot of time together, or argue once in a while, or because they wanted something catchy to say. Lee's Tire Company has been family-owned for over 5 decades, and that's not changing anytime soon. Plus, it works out for you because you can't pick your family, but you can pick your tire place. And once you pick Lee's, you're family forever.
Lee's Tire Company is round for you. Ooh, see Lee's.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR. This is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. The NFL, in a statement today, announced that Tom Brady did not violate any NFL rules by wearing a headset in the Raiders coaching booth last night. According to the league, Brady, a minority owner with the Raiders and broadcaster for Fox, is prohibited from going to a team facility for practices or production meetings, but he is allowed to sit in the coach's booth. Brady's not gaining any competitive advantage here, says ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter.
I think Tom Brady understands what's professional and moral, and I don't think he's
sneaking into the Chiefs facility as a broadcaster, stealing secrets, and then dispensing them to the Raiders. The information that he gets, we all can watch the film and see tendencies of players. He's studying a lot of film of a lot of guys.
Adam Schefter on Unsportsmanlike. In the wake of Joe Burrow's turf toe injury, the Bengals signed Sean Clifford and Mike White to their practice squad. Quarterback Jake Browning set to start in place of Burrow. Vikings agreed to terms with free agent quarterback Desmond Ridder, giving them a third healthy QB with starter J.J. McCarthy out with a high right ankle sprain. Carson Wentz will get the start this week.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. If you're a renter, make sure you're protected. Renter's insurance includes options that cover stolen property, personal injury, and living expenses if your place is damaged. Quote renter's insurance at progressive.com.
From Faro.
15 to the 10, to the house.
Bush.
Back to the wall. And it's got her.
And Arrowhead.
Touchdown! Kansas City.
To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
Keep carrying that water, Sheffy. Big Show's on. 501 KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy and Brendan here. If you're listening to the National Sports Center, if you know, you know. We'll get to what was good and bad and downright ugly from week 2 of the NFL season. 875-KTGR if you want to text in yours. Or you can call us, or you can comment on our YouTube channel. We're live right now at KTGR Sports. We'll show it if you comment there. We'll also get to what we think would be the 12-team field in the college football playoff if it started today. We'll put it together. Brandon and I will put on our committee hats at 5:25. You can call or text us at 875-KTGR. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Eli Drinkwitz, head coach of the Missouri Football Tigers, said earlier today he anticipates LaNorris Sellers to play in the game on Saturday night on Faroe Field as the Tigers take on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Sellers, we don't really know specifically the injury, but he left the game last weekend against Vanderbilt after a targeting penalty. We assume he's in the concussion protocol. However, that may look for the Southeastern Conference. And Drink's saying, look, we're preparing as though he's going to be the quarterback. My take, that's what he has to say. Interesting, though, that since he said it, we've seen him move to the line since it opened at 7, shot way up to Mizzou minus 13.5. Now it's about 11.5 or 12. Those Wednesday night availability reports, it's going to be released, and then every day it will be released thereafter throughout the remainder of the week. I'm going to say whatever it says, unless it declares Sellers is out, I will not be overreacting or really reacting at all to what it has to say.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
The Cardinals' bullpen woes continued last night. It's not really the back end of the bullpen. No, Riley O'Brien wasn't available last night. They tried to squeeze a little bit more out of Kyle Leahy than Ollie Marmol said was even fair to do with the workload that he's had. But when you drop 3 relievers at the deadline, your middle relievers that you rely upon become your back-end guys. And they've done well, but they've now been overworked. And so last night it was guys like Chris Roycroft and Ryan Fernandez that you had to turn to. Didn't go very well. Bullpen gave it up big time in an 11-6 loss to the Reds.
Number 3.
There's Jordan for 3. Yes!
It's a new week for the Chiefs, but the same 0-2 record. I'm looking ahead to that Sunday night game in East Rutherford. Are we sure they beat the Giants this week? They can't afford to go to 0-3. Andy has said, look, that's going to be considered a must-win game. But frankly, the Chiefs have looked sloppy through the first 2, and they're going to have to clean things up to get that first win on Sunday night.
Number 4.
Oh, shan't it.
Boy, Shefty sure touting the company line there in the National Sports Center, huh? Tom Brady didn't violate any rules, the NFL said, by wearing a headset for the Raiders in their coach's box last night. No. Yeah, we know that. This is a nice PR move, though, because we never said he did violate a rule. That's the problem. That's why we're upset about it. Change the rule, NFL. You get to make the rule, and it is a massive conflict of interest. If I'm the Bears, there's no way I am giving Tom Brady the time of day 1 week before his Raiders play my team.
Number 5.
What is the 5 fingers? Say to the face. Slap.
All right, Andy wants to get into it after just like a quarter of the season. If the CFP started tomorrow, who would make the bracket? I don't know who all the teams are offhand, but I know one of them. Vandy.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
Call or text us at 875-KTGR.
Anchor down.
I meant if it actually started tomorrow, like, would you?
Yeah.
Put it? No, I wouldn't. But either way.
Yeah, I'm not just going to go based on preseason resume. I'm going to look at what the teams have done, and they've been very impressive. 2 Power 4 wins.
Oh, boy.
Conference win.
Oh, my gosh.
Road conference win. Road conference blowout win. Who's got a better resume than Vandy?
Oh, the LSU's one win against an ACC team is even better than Vandy's.
I will give you LSU.
2 wins combined against both of those.
I'll give you LSU, and they'll be seated higher than Vandy in this bracket. All right? I'm going to give you that. But who else you got? I mean, if we're talking resume,
how are you going to put Mizzou in then if you're putting Vandy
What's that?
in? How are you going to put Mizzou in?
I don't know. Well, I mean, they have dominated their schedule. They've dominated their schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would necessarily put Mizzou in because I still think South Carolina is better than Kansas. I don't know that for sure. And to go on the road and win by 24 or whatever it was, probably more impressive than the impressive win Mizzou had at home against KU. Mizzou popped Louisiana like they were supposed to. I mean, Mizzou has done everything. They haven't done anything wrong. So they're in this conversation as well. But I don't know, give it, I don't just want to look at the AP poll. Who's been impressive? Who's, South Florida,
okay.
They had a case till they fell at Miami, but I mean, Miami's probably in.
Have a case at this point.
Maybe with one loss. I mean, if we're doing this game through 3 weeks, I'm ready to really do it. I'm ready to be a little controversial with. I'm just looking at resume, baby. I don't want to look at the rankings because it's too early in the season. There's still too much about what we thought preseason baked into these rankings. Vanderbilt's been better than the 20th best resume in the country, but they're ranked 20th.
We'll see. 525 should be very interesting. 875 KTGR. Call or text us here. But let's first go to the NFL side of things. Cue the music, of course. Good, the bad, and the ugly from week 2 of the NFL season. Call or text us at 875 KTGR with yours. As we get started here. Lots of things you could call the Chiefs. I would say it's more ugly than bad, the way that they played against the Eagles. Because I don't think they played all that bad against the Eagles on Sunday. Outgained them. Patrick Mahomes had more yards. They had more first downs. They were pretty much the same on third downs. Eagles held the ball for slightly longer bit of time, but the ugly portions were when, Travis Kelce doesn't make a catch that could have been a touchdown. Instead, it's a turnover and it goes the other way and leads to your opponent getting a touchdown.
That's not good.
Like, you can't do that. The ugly of missing field goals and the ugly of the tush push not being officiated correctly. There's just things like that. And that's not out of the Chiefs' control. And that's not a Chiefs conversation or anything like that. But I'd say more so ugly than bad or even good from how the Chiefs came out of that game looking. And so we'll see. But they were able to win ugly several times last year. This time they looked ugly and they just fell short.
Yeah, I mean, there were bad plays, but I think ugly is worse than bad, and ugly is what they deserve, I think, in this instance. Season's not over, but I am panicking. I am concerned. The alarm bells are sounding, whatever, analogies you want to use, I am ready to do so with the Kansas City Chiefs. Sunday is kind of a must-win game because that's a Giants team that everybody kind of looks down upon, but they can do that. I mean, they have players. Russ Wilson, we've seen, they're familiar with him from the division when he was, with the Broncos. So there's some familiarity there. And Malik Neighbors, if they're not familiar with him yet, they're going to be. That's a guy that connection alone can be very dangerous. And I think that Giants defense is a lot better this year now as well. So it's going to be an interesting week of game prep to see what that thing looks like.
No, the game itself is scary on the Chiefs side of things. It's less scary for the Giants. They have less to feel pressure about.
Yeah.
Less to lose.
That's a house money game if you're the Giants, man. Coming in and just give it your all.
So, yeah, from the Chiefs side, how they deal with that pressure of saying, okay, now you're 0-2. Like, you could conceivably come back from 0-2, but 0-3, man, it's darn near impossible. But
it can be done. And if anybody can do it, it's this team. But don't go to 0-3 because it's not like you're playing the Ravens this week. I mean, this is a game that you can get even on the road, so you got to go and get it at this point.
Call or text us here, 875-KTGR, here on The Big Show with your good, bad, and ugly from NFL Week 2. What was good, though? What were the good things that you saw this weekend?
I mean, I'm going to go all the way back to Thursday and continue to credit the eventual NFC champion Packers for being very good against the Commanders. You know, that's another playoff team from last year anyway that they dispatched in consecutive weeks. They've done that to the Lions and the Commanders. But I want to give credit to the Lions for being the Lions still. Like, there was a moment in time against the Packers where I think we all collectively go, wait a second, was it all Ben Johnson? No, because Ben Johnson was coaching on the other side on Sunday, and the Lions looked exactly like they looked every game last year in a dome, where they just go out and score 1 million points, and they're the same offense. I mean, it was the same, even with Ben Johnson being gone. They were just as explosive, just as exciting, just as Jared Goff throwing it all over the turf. I mean, it was the Lions that we've come to expect, and so good on them, credit on them for, if anybody had declared them dead and gone, they're still around. They're probably not going to win that division because the Packers are tough, but the Lions are still a pretty good team.
How much of that, though, is just the bad on the Bears side? That's fair to question, right? That's what I wonder about. Here's the upcoming schedule for the Lions. Could be very interesting. At the Ravens, home against the Browns, at the Bengals, at the Chiefs, home against the Bucks before the bye week.
Not easy by any stretch. And the Browns are, like, every time anybody sees the Browns on their schedule, you're going to predict a win for your side. But inevitably, 5 or 6 people are going to be wrong this year.
Yeah.
They're going to win some games. They have a good defense. So I think they'll be okay, but that's no easy schedule. And those Buccaneers, man, Baker Mayfield, I saw the image circulating yesterday of him wearing that red penny at Panthers practice when they made him a defensive end for that practice because he was like so far down the depth chart. It was a punishment. It was weird. But how about Baker Mayfield? I mean, he deserves to be, if we're talking about good, he played well yesterday. Good on him for the way that he was able to come back and win that game. Good on Todd Bowles as well. I mean, I don't know your thoughts on this, but it seemed pretty clear. They're letting Nick Chubb score that touchdown.
Well, yeah, probably so.
No doubt.
I immediately said that the Texans scored too quickly there, and that they should have.
They let them
at least tried to force the Bucs to take some timeouts.
You got to slide, I think, if you're Nick Chubb, but you're not thinking that because you're at the 20. You're not thinking that that the team is going to give you that many yards.
Even if you're doing that, it wasn't even that long of a run. It was a 25-yard run, and even then, like, the Bucs with their timeouts, they had all of them and the 2-minute warning. So there still would have been some time, and at that point, you probably want a touchdown margin instead of a field goal margin. So I go back and forth on it.
Once you're through that first level, you're halfway there, and you're not thinking, hey, they let me do that on purpose. Like, if it was a little bit closer to the goal line when the play started and you had maybe 1 first down to be gained, you might be thinking about that. But he was so far out that it was like, I guess I scored.
It was by far the best blocked play of the night by the Texans, who had very few well-blocked plays at all.
The defense wasn't trying to tackle the running back, so that's why it was
well. No. I don't even think that's the case because, like, they were probably maybe letting him get a first down, but I don't think they were trying to let him score. Like, the safety was not coming down to try and let him score. Like, he was coming down to try and get a tackle, but he took a very bad angle. Like, but once he got past a certain level, like, I agree. They stopped trying.
They made it look good, but they wanted him to score on that play.
And I don't doubt that it's benefited them with that, but. And
it was a huge benefit because if they kick a field goal and kill the clock, the game's over. They win it,
but they can't kill the whole clock. I wouldn't have seen a scenario where they could do the whole thing. And like,
not when you don't tackle the guy. No,
well, but also like with the
First
way
down
that
at
the Texans were playing offensively in that game, you have to think that you're going to get a stop at some point. Like, that they were awful. Absolutely
Andy,
awful in that game.
Andy, I think you're off on this one. They're out of time. Like Chubb, it was like, first and 9, I think it was second and 9. But they give that up. If they don't, it's 2-minute warning. Bucks have all their timeouts, but then you're at the 15 or so. Once they get inside the 5, it's done. I don't think that I think they intentionally let them score. That's just a lot of people on social media kind of going to that place as well. I don't know. I just think we see this one a little bit different. And I thought it was a genius play, by the way. I'm giving all the credit to Todd Bowles. That's what you got to do.
Well, but I think the way Todd Bowles managed the clock after that, I think was very good. A lot of that's Baker Mayfield, but I think the way that they coached that game in general, like just the way that the script went, I think was exactly what Todd Bowles, I think, wanted for a game like that. And so, yeah, I think he's an above average NFL coach, if you ask me.
It was a dumb thing that he let Chris Godwin stay in that blowout last year, but this was a very good night for Todd Bowles.
And look, Baker Mayfield himself has turned 2 offensive coordinators now into head coaches over the last 3 seasons. And so that means something. Like if you're that type of quarterback, we do have to have him. We're going to do top 5, bottom 5 quarterbacks tomorrow. I am going to think about Baker Mayfield, man. I really am.
There's a case to be made. I don't know if I have room for him, but there's a case to be made.
It is something else. Call or text us 875-KTGR here on The Big Show if you want to weigh in on what was good and bad and ugly from NFL Week 2. How do you describe what happened, though, between the Giants and the Cowboys from any kind of those 3 perspectives?
Chaos.
I have no
I don't
clue.
know. It was bad for Chiefs fans in St. Louis that wanted to watch the game and see the first quarter.
Oh, it was not
that.
Just St. Louis, several places, man. It was bad. That was across the board type of mistake by I think YouTube TV, but I don't know. We'll see.
You had people wigging out.
Yeah.
I know that. People were like, "What is going on? I don't care." Oh, Brandon Aubrey's good though. He's the best kicker in NFL history. Full stop. I've got no room for anybody else. I'm already ready to declare it. Nobody in NFL history does from the 60 to 64 yard range what Brandon Aubrey does. It's like what you say, well, Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker was that from 55 in his prime. Aubrey is that from 65 right now. He is the best there's ever been, the best to ever do it.
Like if you're just saying most talented, I think I agree.
Most accurate. If I had a scenario,
most accurate, do it in the biggest moments, but a kicker can't really dictate that. It's one guy on a team, and you have to advance certain levels. Like if the Cowboys were a team that put themselves in big playoff situations, then maybe we would talk more about Brandon Aubrey being the best kicker ever. But guys like Adam Vinatieri and others have been in those spots before and have come through in the major clutch.
If he was ever 60-yarders, this dude does it from that distance.
Right. But, I mean, Adam Vinatieri never really got a chance to kick a 60-yarder. If he had the chance.
Because they knew he couldn't.
All that.
They knew his leg wasn't going to get it there. If the devil came to my door and said, you got to pick one kicker in their prime in NFL history, your life is on the line, they got to hit from 60, I'm going to say, I'm calling up Brandon Aubrey.
All right.
There's no question. And the dude is automatic from yardages that, as you said, NFL Hall of Famers wouldn't have dreamt of being sent out to even attempt. And he's automatic from those distances. He's the only guy. I sent out a trade offer in fantasy today for Brandon Aubrey. I'm not going to get it accepted. Next year, I'm drafting him before I'm drafting a bench. Never would I do that in fantasy football. He is the one exception. He is the best kicker in NFL history.
Man, that's something else. I mean, he's proved that he can bomb it in the big moments, at least as big of moments that the Cowboys have had in their history.
That's fair. No, that's true.
Regular season games, overtime.
I don't think you're a kicker.
But first,
if you're a kicker,
I saw this
is the moment.
I saw this on NBC, though. First time in NFL history that a kicker had a game-tying field goal with no time left at the end of regulation and a game-winning field goal with no time left in overtime, like with zeros on the clock when it's going through the uprights. First time it's ever happened for any kicker in history. And look, he is doing stuff that no one's ever done. And so I can understand that sentiment, no doubt. Yeah, that's really the only good that look. Cowboys offense is good. Defensively,
Russell Wilson was eventually kind of good. They
Yeah.
were trading quarterbacks off with Jackson Dart though for a little bit. It was very strange. Very strange.
It's an odd game, but Cowboys, I'm sure, are very happy that they at least won it from their perspective. I have a bad.
Okay. And then I've got an ugly.
Look, I actually don't necessarily agree that ugly is always worse than bad. I think sometimes they are different things because you can win ugly or you can lose ugly. That can be different ways to describe a game. But I think bad sometimes can just describe an absolutely awful situation. And that is what's happening with the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are bad. They're just straight up bad. They will have the worst record in the NFL this year. I said AFC last week. I was wrong. It'll be the whole NFL. Saints will have a better record. Who else? Who else is 0-2? Jets will finish with a better record. Titans will finish with a better record. Panthers will get more wins than the the Dolphins do. Chiefs obviously will have a better record. I think the Texans will as well. Like the Dolphins are just terrible. And it probably needs to be a midseason firing for Mike McDaniel.
He's done. I mean, he is so done. You listen to his press conferences, he's got no idea what's happening.
Yeah, once that starts to deteriorate, you know that the writing's on the wall.
But like, he's not really any different than he was, but it was kind of like quirky and fun when he was not guiding a team that's a train wreck. And now it's like, there's no room for that. Like, it's gonna not last very long. I'd be surprised if he makes it to October at this point. Kind of how I felt about, what was the guy UCLA, Deshaun Foster? We were talking about him a few weeks ago.
Fired 3 weeks
and
in.
we're like, I forgot what he said that we talked about that one day, but I'm like, this is not. This isn't happening.
None of his players could talk to media. You couldn't see practice. Shut everything down, and
I was like, this guy is cooked, and it took 2 weeks, and he was fired. It will be that way for Mike McDaniel as well. I'm kind of wishing I had a better vision for this in the offseason, because you could have bet like one of those markets in a jurisdiction of legality.
Oh, like worst record in the league.
First coach.
Yeah.
First coach fired.
First coach. Yeah.
It's going to be him, without a doubt. And I was wrong. I think I was on over 8.5 wins for the Dolphins, and I was totally wrong. That is money down the drain. It's completely inept at that point. I've got another situation in the same state that I'm going to call ugly. I do think it can be fixed, because I think the head coach in the situation can fix it. Jacksonville Jaguars receiver Brian Thomas had the worst game by a wide receiver in NFL history on Sunday. If you watch the tape and you look at just how he just didn't want to be involved in the game, I have never seen it from a star player, mind you. Just look more disinterested, more tentative. Liam Cohen did say after that he was dealing with a wrist injury in the lead up to the game, which, is there not a fine coming for that? I don't think he was on an injury report, but he looked like, if you watch, and the videos have been popping off on social media, Brian Thomas Jr. looked like he wanted nothing to do with anything over the middle, no contact, just kind of tentative reach for the ball, led Trevor Lawrence into an interception. That was a back and forth game that the Bengals end up winning with a backup quarterback after Burrow's injury. Brian Thomas Jr., that was downright ugly, and I don't even really think a wrist injury excuses it. I've just never seen anything like it from a star player, guy that's supposed to be a lead receiver on that team. That was bizarre.
The clip I saw was pretty bad. Just kind of alligator arming one of these passes, throwing his way in the end zone.
It was
like, you don't want to score,
target,
you don't want to catch touchdown.
Every target he did that. It was astounding. But after the game, I like that Liam Cohen. I think he's going to be okay. He was like yelling at Trevor Lawrence on the sideline to hit a guy in the chest, and Lawrence kind of waved him off. And people are like, oh, there's some discord there. And there may be. I think Liam Cohen is a smart guy, and was asked a question about going for it on fourth down rather than taking a field goal to make it a 6-point lead. And basically he just said, no, it's a go situation 100% of the time. Analytics will tell you, you go for it. Try to make it a 2-score game rather than make a 1-score game a 1-score game, which I call the inverse Pete Carroll, who last night kicked a field goal to make a 2-score game a 2-score game. I think Liam Cohen's sharp. He just needs Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas to cooperate, and the Jags will be okay.
Yeah, that was a tough watch last night. Did you make it to the end of the game, by the way?
I did.
You did? Oh, I didn't.
I did.
No.
No.
If they do that again, they usually stagger it. They usually start one at 6, another at 7:30 when they did the doubleheaders on Monday night.
I like it better this way. I can't focus on 2 games at once unless it's a Sunday. It felt even too much like a Sunday with 2 games being played. Don't do the doubleheader thing. I'm over it. Done. I think this is the last one of the year, and maybe it could be going away next year. I've read, so I would prefer it to never happen again. It's too much. It's for a fantasy player. I need to be able to focus on one game on Monday. Everything else happens on Sunday. Let me have a little bit of an isolated window to focus on Monday night, please. It's too much. We get done with this show, and I'm checking a lineup as we're doing the end of the show. I'm like, shoot, do I have a kicker? Like, it's too much. Can't take it.
Call or text us 875-KTGR.
12 leagues. 12 leagues is part of the problem.
Leagues. That's, yeah.
You know what?
You know what?
We went 8-4. 8-4 this week. We'll take it.
It's not bad. I suppose if you have several chances to win in a league, and maybe it makes it better.
Well, but if you lose 11 times out of 12, then you feel really bad about yourself.
You're like, why do I even play this silly little game?
I think that a dozen times per fall. I've already thought it twice, and we're only in week 2.
Oh, boy. Well, if you have a good, bad, and ugly to text to us, call or text us here at 875-KTGR. You can also comment on our YouTube channel at KTGR Sports to tell us what was good, bad, and ugly from NFL Week 2. We will build the CFP bracket as we think it should stand now, next on the Big Show, KTGR.
Breaking down the Tigers, Cardinals, Chiefs, and more like no one else. The Big Show continues next on KTGR.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Free-for-all RV Road Warriors, your best blast of Branson just turned into a bad day bummer. You ran out of gas, blew a tire, killed your battery, are sitting sideways in a ditch, and managed to lock yourselves out. Ouch. Hey, it could happen. And for the save, you call I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for roadside assistance, too. Fuel, tires, batteries, locks, winching, you name it. When your world seems to have been wrecked, call the team they hope you never have to meet. I-70towing.com. Now serving Boonville. Winching.
Discover, explore, and soak in the views of the incredible landscapes that make up the last frontier, Alaska. Experience the diverse culture and rich history as we cruise the Pacific coast and explore the wilds of Denali, Glacier Bay, and beyond. And boy, do we have some good news. There are currently still seats available, but don't wait, as you only have until October 3rd to book this once-in-a-lifetime trip. To RSVP and learn more, go to ZimmerCommunications.com today.
My name is Caroline, and I would highly recommend True Sun Exteriors and Interiors. Our house was built in 1980, and it had the original cedar siding. The wildlife in our yard were tag teaming it. The woodpeckers would start, and then the next thing you know, we would have squirrels in the walls. When we met with True Sun, they suggested we make the switch to LP Smart siding because it would be more resilient against the weather that we have, and also it would keep those squirrels out of the house. When I went to the showroom, they were so happy to answer all of my questions. The support from all levels of this project has been great. True Sun is a company that really cares about the quality of the work that they're doing. They really want the results to be lasting, they want the results to look good, and they want you to be happy with it.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com. Macadoodles does selection like nobody else. If you're looking for ingredients to make the perfect new drink, look no further. Why settle for boring? Macadoodles has you covered. With Columbia's widest variety of beer, wine, and spirits, you're sure to find something new and exciting when you shop with Macadoodles. Come experience the difference in selection at Macadoodles today. Macadoodles delivers world-class customer service and unmatched selection at unbeatable prices. Who does selection like nobody else? Macadoodles does.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
Call or text us with your good, bad, and ugly from NFL Week 2. 875-KTGR here on The Big Show with Andy and Brendan. I know we got at least one text on this. Jason, when talking about the Chiefs, he texted in, they've played 2 top 5 defenses without any wide receivers. They will be fine. Yeah, I mean, that That is true, and I think we should put the Chargers in the good after what they have done so far. I was skeptical of their defense going in. I shouldn't have been. They have answered a lot of questions on that side of the ball. And with the Chiefs situation, the wide receivers that they wanted in the room, that they were planning to have in the room, well, they're not there. So, yes, they can be fine later on in the season. The question is, like, you dug yourself a bit of a hole. How do you get out of it? Like, it still exists. And so do they have the ability to be the same team that they were last year? I think they can, but the fact that they've started this late to get to that point is going to cost them at some point.
Yeah. And I agree with everything said there. I think when you think about the expectations for the Chiefs coming in, you're like, well, number 1 seed, they're going to win the division, of course. And now we have to sort of adjust based off of that already. And you're 2 weeks into the season. And that there's not a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to Xavier Worthy, because even if he plays, there's the risk of re-injury. So it's not as though like, oh, he's back and then it's good to go forever. We don't know that. There's that uncertainty. And then with Rashee Rice, you're still waiting another 4 games before you get him back.
And so that's the Chiefs situation. We called them ugly this week, but tell us what you think about them going in. 875 KTGR here on The Big Show. All right, time to put our committee hats on. So you have yours on. It's yellow. It has the outline of the state of Missouri on there.
Yeah,
so,
no, I'm unbiased.
Committee. Yeah,
I'm unbiased. There's no Missouri bias in my. And if I happen to put Missouri in, it's because they deserve it, not because I have any sort of inherent bias.
Well, then we'll find out on that. So let's put together, if it started today. I know it's difficult. Well, we do our SEC football tiers every week. I mean, we could probably do this too.
Probably can.
If the 12-team bracket started today, who would be in it? Tell us who you would put in. 875 KTGR. So
how do you want to do this? I want to. Because I don't want to just look at the rankings and say, "Oh, top 12." Like I want to.
No,
dig in.
I agree that you don't have to agree with what the rankings say right now, and you can say a team is ranked too high or too low when it comes to that. Why don't we start with the champions? Like, who's going to get the auto bids with this? And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're ranked in that spot, but the auto bids. I mean, I would say Ohio State is one to start out.
The SEC, Big 10, ACC, and Big 12.
Yes.
They get the autos. And then there'll be a G5.
But they don't quite get the buys this year. Like, that's not guaranteed. Right. They will seed it as they should have, just straight up. So Ohio State, I think, would be the one. I think eventually I would put the SEC champion number 2.
I don't really care about the order yet. I just want to get them in.
You just want to get the teams in, and
because like you
you'll
said,
see them later.
This won't be our top 4 necessarily when it comes to the conference champs. Like, I can't imagine the ACC champ unless, Miami is probably the answer there, Andy, and they could end up being a top 4 team. That's possible.
Right. If they keep winning the way that they have, I think that will certainly be the case. Georgia is if I had to call it now, SEC champ. Yeah.
They have the most impressive win. I mean, if we're doing this, the win at Tennessee, that's a good win.
Yeah, and even if we project it out, I feel that they are best set up to handle the rigors of their schedule more so than some of those teams at the top. So,
Tennessee would have been really in a great spot if they could have beaten Georgia with their schedule, but they fell short.
So, Georgia's in there. Big 12. Should we? Who would you say wins the Big 12 if you had to guess today?
Let me take a look. It's not pretty. By the way, I just want to mention, well, I'll wait a minute to mention it because maybe I can get some at-large love for them. The Big 12. Right now, Houston and Iowa State have conference wins.
The rankings say this, if you want. Iowa State is 12. Then you get to Utah, who is 16, Texas Tech, who is 17. I think those are all the ranked teams to this point. Then you get to, in the receiving votes category, you get to BYU, TCU, Arizona State, Baylor's in there.
Who's got good wins, though? I mean, we don't need to talk about anybody with a loss. Baylor's got a loss. Arizona State's taking a loss. Iowa State, obviously beat Kansas State, which I don't think is that impressive of a win at this point, if I may. They beat Iowa, rivalry game. So, that's 2 Power 4 wins. That's a feather in their cap.
Yeah.
Houston knocked around Colorado in a conference game, but that's really their only notable win. Texas Tech has looked good.
I mean, they've boat raced teams is what Texas Tech has done. Maybe not the most impressive teams, but I mean, they have won them by at least 30 points. And I mean, if you still call Oregon State one of those teams, if it weren't, it's not their fault that they're not a Power 5 team anymore.
No, but
they are what they are.
I think, and this will be a lot more fun. We should do it in 3 weeks again when there's, when there's some games that have been played where we're now measuring, Texas Tech is going to play Utah this weekend. That's obviously probably the winner of that game is who my answer would be, frankly.
Over Iowa State, you think?
Over Iowa State. Yeah. They win by field goals against Kansas State, who I think is the new Florida State. Kansas State is going to not make a bowl game. They are one of the worst college football teams I've ever seen. And Iowa is Iowa. We know the deal with Iowa. It's always impressive when you beat them, but that's not going to tell me that Iowa State's going to be able to handle the rest of their schedule. Of course, it is a ranking of to this point. And so who the resume goes to, I'm not going to nitpick, but I would be very surprised if Iowa wins the Big 12, Iowa State. And so that's why I am having a hard time with that. I'd be more inclined to say Texas, because again, Arizona has also beaten Kansas State. That was a home game for Arizona. For me, it's either Arizona or Texas Tech. It's been more impressive to me. And you could go Utah if you want. I won't stop you there.
I'll say Texas Tech is the winner there.
I like that, and that could that could happen. They have an offense, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. So those are the 4 Power 4 champions. The group of 5.
It gets tough, doesn't it?
It gets tough. I'll say Tulane. I'll go Tulane. Yeah. And maybe South Florida still is able to hold their head above water, but
I always forget that South Florida isn't in the ACC. I don't know why.
No, they're not. No, they're American. And but look,
I'll go Tulane. 2 Power 4 wins. I mean, that's against Duke and Northwestern, but that's
something.
2 Power 4 wins.
That's something. We'll see what happens there. But we'll go Tulane for now. Now the at-larges.
We got 7 of them to hand out.
All right. All right. I think Penn State gets 1.
Who they beat?
There. Well, they haven't really beaten much to this point.
Okay, then I am not ready to declare Penn State.
Why not?
Because they've played Nevada, Florida International, and Villanova.
Okay.
If I'm awarding it based on what's happened this year, I need to. I don't know that the criteria is going to favor Penn State.
But we have not done our SEC tiers this way. We have baked in something beforehand about what we know about these teams.
But
and
the SEC
and the
tiers,
composition of them.
Yes, that's apples and oranges. The SEC tiers have to be done differently. We're picking the college football playoff. It starts today, and we have to get it right.
And I think Penn State is one of the 12 best teams in the country.
I think that's probably true, but I'm not sure they'd be the first team I would go to. I want to give me some resumes. Who's got a resume that we?
Okay, resumes are one
here?
thing. I don't necessarily see it as something that needs to be I still project out as to what should be the case. No. Because if we're projecting it, again, if we're picking Texas Tech to win the Big 12, then that's projecting out. So we can't go back and forth as to how we do this.
No, they've mauled every team that they've played. But
there have been other teams that have beaten more impressive teams. For
sure. But it's a little bit different when we're talking about the rest of the country and just having to pick a Big 12 team that has looked good because there aren't any. Now we're at liberty to pick anybody, not just picking who the best from the Big 12 has been. When there's been no wins in the Big 12 conference by anybody that I'm really impressed by. Iowa State has had a couple of teams that you're supposed to be impressed by beating them, but I'm not. I'm more impressed by the way Texas Tech has looked. And so I don't think I'm using different criteria, but I'm going to give you Penn State because they're ultimately going to be in here, but I don't think I am going to necessarily agree with a lot of the way this goes if we're just running down the top teams. But I would have started with LSU because you say, well, they beat Clemson. I'm in on that.
Right.
I would have started with Miami because, we already got Miami. LSU, that would be my first nomination because they actually have a good win. But you're right. Penn State's going to be in there. They haven't done anything to tell us they aren't one of the best teams. But if there was no preseason ranking and we don't remember last year, I don't know for sure that we would have stumbled upon Penn State because they've played Villanova, might be their best opponent in their FCS.
Okay, but again, with this little amount of game data that we have, we still look at these teams, and we particularly look at these quarterbacks, and like that's Penn State's got one of the best.
Well, they got at least second best. The second best quarterback that was on their roster last year, which
I understand
is a bit of a knock on them.
All that. So LSU and Penn State we put in this category.
I'll do it. Yeah.
I'm just going through, like, would you put
resumes?
Would you put Oregon in today?
Let's take a look. I mean, if you put Penn State in, it's going to be hard not to put Oregon in, but let me see what they've done. At Northwestern, beat them by 20. Yeah, beat Oklahoma State by 66 points. Oregon is, of course, in over Penn State. I mean, it's not even close if we're just counting the resumes. So why would you sounded skeptical of Oregon? Whereas to me,
I'm not. I'm just going down the list of like saying, okay, is this?
No, that's not the way we should be doing this. I want you to nominate a team that has a resume. I'll take nominations now. You got any teams that have a resume? Because I've got a couple.
Well, Texas A&M has a resume.
They certainly do. Yeah, let's talk about them. That's a no-brainer, right? They beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. They beat anybody else? I'm trying to remember, but A&M's in. I mean, again, I'm looking at that based on what they've done.
I mean, they did kind of struggle.
Notre Dame. It's a great win.
Struggled with UTSA.
They did, but then they got one of the best. That's one of the best wins in the country. That team was in the national championship game last year, and you beat them at their place. It's a great win.
So today, I think we would put them in. With
I agree.
That. Would you put Oklahoma in?
They're close to the conversation for sure. Yeah, they scrub them. We got to scrub the seeds. Scrub them against Vanderbilt. Scrub them against Missouri.
Oh, I mean, they have a better resume than both those teams.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't at all agree with the Vanderbilt part of that. Why not? Assume? I want to know why we just assume Michigan is suddenly good. Why do we assume that? Because nothing they've done this year.
Why do we assume that South Carolina is good? Why do we assume that Virginia Tech is good?
We don't. Virginia Tech is terrible.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech is awful.
And that's maybe one of the two wins that you are touting with Vanderbilt at this point. So again, I ask, what are you doing? But you said that it's not because Virginia Tech is terrible. Like you can't count it as a win then.
Yeah, but it's all relative. We're looking at Oklahoma's wins. They've beaten Michigan. What else is Illinois State and Temple? I mean, that's two games that they were walkover games. So
Vanderbilt's had two walkover games. Like, what are we doing here?
One of them is at least a Power Four. So it's and again, South Carolina is not a walkover game. That's a ridiculous assertion to say you're going to go.
I wasn't calling that a walkover game.
Okay.
However, quarterback was out for half the game. But
at South Carolina versus hosting Michigan, I don't know that there is a way, and margin of victory considered as well. I don't know that there's a way other than you're looking at the big Block M logo in the maize and blue and deciding that Michigan's good. There's no reason to believe that Michigan is.
They got a very good defense.
Yeah, maybe. There's no reason to believe also Michigan, are they for sure better than Kansas? Because I can tell you that Kansas blew the snot out of two teams and then lost a high-scoring game at Missouri. I don't know that Michigan's any better than Kansas.
Michigan just blew the snot out of somebody this past weekend.
Central Michigan, a directional school. Michigan's fine, but
Kansas played basically the same thing. Like you're saying one thing and then agreeing with the other. Like
that's not true.
Yes,
I am as consistent as anybody.
No.
Not
at all, buddy.
With me.
No.
It doesn't change.
Vanderbilt is not.
Continue this
I'm sorry. Vanderbilt is not in this conversation.
They are.
No, they're not.
It's impossible that they wouldn't be.
No, they're not.
Show me better resumes and explain.
Oklahoma.
Why?
Because they have 3 wins that are more impressive.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Temple?
Yeah.
Temple is not a more impressive. Temple is one of the worst teams in college football annually. How is that an impressive win? Howard and UMass.
Put those two teams on the field right now. Who wins? Oklahoma, Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
No.
Neutral site?
No.
Neutral site?
Oklahoma does it. Which game are you more scared of on Mizzou's schedule? At Oklahoma, at Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt.
No.
Vanderbilt is a playoff contender.
Buddy,
they're very close.
You've jumped the shark. You've jumped the shark,
Andy,
man.
I think the answer is both of them have to be in this field.
No,
let's
they
do it
don't.
this way.
No.
Oklahoma, Vanderbilt. Who else? I'm putting them both in for the moment. Who else do you want to nominate?
Okay.
We're
let's
scrubbing.
Get back in.
We're scrubbing resumes.
Oregon should be in.
Well, that already happened. I put Penn State, LSU, Oregon, A&M, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt. We've got one more spot. But you can knock Vandy out if you give me enough good resumes to do it.
Florida State.
I'm not convinced. Florida State. What have they done?
They have beaten Alabama.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Now, they've only played 2 games.
But yeah,
it's and then they
Florida
beat
State,
East Texas A&M by 74.
Florida State is actually above OU and Vanderbilt for me.
Yeah.
So they're
that.
in. Who else you got? Now we got to start knocking teams off, and that's when we really have an interesting OU Vanderbilt conversation. But who else really merit-based?
Okay.
Goes on the road and does what Vandy did, beats Oklahoma, beating a good fine Michigan team.
Here's one, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I actually totally agree. Georgia Tech, to me, although I think Clemson very much on that Virginia Tech path, not the same thing. But Clemson not very impressive. Georgia Tech, though, has beaten Colorado in Boulder
on the road, yeah.
and beat Clemson. Georgia Tech is above both Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. I don't think there's any question about that. There's no doubt.
Okay, so now at that point, you've got to knock out one of Oklahoma and Vanderbilt because we may have the ability.
Now, hold on. We may have the ability to knock out both of them, but continue to nominate. I will be surprised if we come up with another team that's better than Penn State, LSU, Oregon, A&M, Florida State, Georgia Tech.
Have not even gotten to Texas yet.
Well, let's take a break and get to them.
We'll get to that. Should Texas be in the field?
I think we got one spot left we got to decide upon here.
Yeah, we'll get to that coming up next after this live local sports center.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou head football coach Eli Drinkwitz says that he anticipates that LaNorris Sellers will be the quarterback for South Carolina when the Tigers take the field against South Carolina on Saturday. Sellers dealing with an injury after being knocked out of the Gamecocks' most recent game against Vanderbilt last Saturday. His status is up in the air. Shane Beamer not disclosing the injury that Sellers is dealing with. Tigers and Gamecocks kick off at 6 p.m. on Saturday. The Yingling Tiger Game Day show begins at 3 o'clock right here on KTGR. Ahmad Hardy, running back for Mizzou, has been named the Doak Walker Player of the Week from that committee with the best running back performance in the country from this past week. Also named the Walter Camp Offensive Player of the Week. Hardy ran for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns against Louisiana last Saturday. Cardinals take on the Reds after an 11-6 loss yesterday. First pitch at 6:45. You can hear it on 100.5 FM KTGR in about a minute. The Royals will host the Mariners tonight at 6:40. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast with Steve's Pest Control. Go to stevespestcontrol.com and let them be your friend in the pest control business.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking partly cloudy skies tonight with the temperature around 65. We'll see a chance for a few showers and storms west of Highway 63 tomorrow afternoon. We'll see a high around 92. As we get into Thursday, we'll track a better chance for some showers and a few storms with highs in the upper 80s. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
The Rich Eisen Show.
The Los Angeles Chargers are a top 5 team in the NFL. Yeah, they are. I saw them with my own 2 eyes, man. They got it all done. They did not suffer their usual issues against the Chiefs.
That's true.
They locked it down. They got it done. Herbert looked like an MVP quarterback. 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Quentin Johnston caught 2. Let's go.
Catch The Rich Eisen Show weekdays from 11 to 2 on KTGR and the KTGR app.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Profit Shares. Every single week, you can enter into contests where you make the picks on the football games throughout the weekend, and you can compete with several others that are doing the exact same thing, and you find out who knows the best. Go to ProfitShares.com. If you haven't signed up already, now's a great time to do it. Totally free. Does not cost you a thing, and if you do well enough on your picks, you can win things like gift cards to places like Chipotle and Chick-fil-A. You can also win charitable donations that you can give to several of your favorite causes, so you can make an impact, or you can have a nice little perk for the next time you go out to eat. From ProfitShares.com, again, totally free to sign up and play, but you can play all season long if you want to. Enter into those weekly Profit Picks contests, and you can pick all the college games, all the pro games, whatever you want at ProfitShares.com. That's PROPHET shares.com. Go and sign up for free today.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at APIProjectFitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
My name is Scott Concannon, and I've been a client of Phyllis Nichols for the past 5 years. We currently have policies with 2 automobiles, homeowners, and life insurance for my fiance. I think Phyllis is one of the few agents I've ever run into, even just my experience with other agents throughout Columbia. She will go above and beyond to not only help you out in your time of need, even if the smallest things happen, she will be there to help you out. Phyllis Nichols, she will go to bat for you. I think there's a reason why they call it the 12-round agent.
Fall savings are in full swing at Buckeye. We've got unbeatable prices on everything farm, ranch, auto, home, and pet. Plus all the gear you need to make the most out of the season. From tools and feed to tailgate essentials and new clothing arrivals, it's all here and on sale. Plus, when you join the free Buckeye Buyers Club, you'll get even more discounts on every purchase, now through the end of the year. Don't miss out on the big savings all season long at Buckeye, your farm, ranch, auto, home, pet, and fall savings destination.
You know that old driver in the corner of your garage? The one half jammed into an old golf bag that's now serving as a spider hotel? Yeah, somebody wants that driver, you know. Play It Again Sports. They'll pay you for the gear you're not using. Golf equipment, fitness gear, baseball, softball, and more. Bring it in and cash out, or upgrade to something you need for the upcoming season. Play It Again Sports wants your used equipment. They need it. So don't sit on it, swing on it. Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Think of them first so you don't finish last. PlayItAgainSportsColumbiaMo.com.
1851 Underground is one of those cool joints the family would enjoy going even if the food wasn't good. But it is good. Really good. Famous burgers like the 1851, topped with pulled pork and hickory bacon, or the Fire and Ice chicken sandwich with Cholula honey and pepper jack cheese. The Baja fish tacos with crispy fried cod and avocado cream sauce is another favorite. It's not a secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground in the historic Brick District in Fulton. Find them on Facebook and Instagram.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
All right, so we still have things to sort out. Try to put together our CFP bracket. If it started today, 875-KTGR here on The Big Show if you want to help us out. Let's just run down what we got. So, the conference champions. We believe it will be Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, Texas Tech, and then we put Tulane in as the G5, right? Okay.
Yes, and this isn't what we believe it will be. It's what it deserves to be as of today.
Okay. Then, at larges, LSU, we put in. We put Penn State in. We put Oregon in, didn't we?
We did.
Oregon is in. A&M is in.
Yep.
Florida State is in.
Yes.
How many at largest did I get to? 5?
You got one more, Georgia Tech. And I'll if you can scrub Georgia Tech out, that's who I've got at the bottom. But I think they're Georgia in with Tech. 2 wins against quality teams.
Okay, so now one spot left. And look, man, like said, it should be between Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. No, I don't even think it should be between
in
those
Missouri.
two.
I don't.
Or in Missouri. Either way. Look, that does kind of shove Texas down. But again, Texas has played the toughest game that anyone has played this year. They lost by 7.
And they didn't win. There's no argument to be made for Texas. Not one argument to be made.
So
they are
because
one of the worst
schedule
teams
they have played.
No, it's because of the way they've performed. They're one of the worst teams in the country against the spread. They are 0-3 against the spread. They have not, like, again, if we're looking at the resume, they have toyed around with bad teams in their other 2 games. They've won those games, but they looked bad doing it. There's no case to be made. And again, this is an exercise that will never have any relevance because nobody's going to pick a CFP field after 3 weeks. Texas has zero business. They're not even one of the next 10 teams that I would look to.
All right.
Based on what they've done.
Okay.
You have to factor in the way they've won the 2 games they've won as well. And they just haven't been close to expectation.
All right.
I think is a reasonable. What's that?
Now, how about Ole Miss?
Okay. Arkansas. That was a heck of a game. It was a fun game.
Yeah.
One at Kentucky.
Yeah.
I think there's a case to be made. Again, I'm a big resume guy. Case to be made above Oklahoma for sure. And Vanderbilt as well, because if I were going to look at the 2 Power 4 wins, I do think Virginia Tech stinks. And although I think Kentucky stinks, I think if Kentucky and Virginia Tech played on a neutral, Kentucky would beat them by double digits. So Ole Miss, I would make a case that, yeah, there's that's as good as any. I would love to give Mizzou the love because I think Kansas is better than any team that Ole Miss has beaten. I think Kansas is better than Arkansas. I think Kansas is better than Kentucky. And Ole Miss beat those 2 teams.
I don't know if
time will tell on that.
Arkansas, but it's
I was trying to think about that
back and forth.
Like, imagine if we know Mizzou has to go to Arkansas. If Mizzou had to go to Kansas this year,
That's
what would that
game.
game have been like?
That's a tough game.
It was a big, tough game. So I think that Ole Miss is actually the answer because of resume reasons. So it works out because I don't think Oklahoma has a second game that you can compare. And to me, Michigan is not. We don't know that they're better than Arkansas. We really don't. Arkansas has put up some points in their other games that they've played, and they put up points against Ole Miss. So I think actually I'm very satisfied by Ole Miss by a nose over Mizzou, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and there were others maybe in there that you look at. Again, the fact that these teams have not played anybody good yet, like Indiana, like Illinois, but they both raced who they play.
Illinois was a good. I was going to mention them if we had more time. This is an exercise that if we can come up with a way to do it a little bit more efficiently, if we would have started it next week, I think it would have been way less contentious. This weekend, we're really going to see some games that are going to help to sort this out.
There'll be some movement, no doubt. Get ready for it. But we'll talk more about it soon. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to the injury expert, Will Carroll, for joining us as well. If you're listening right here on 1580 and 105.1, you've got Chase Kingdom next and then Tiger Talk at 7. He's Brendan. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have